The show's main character is a strange young woman named Wednesday Addams. The little lady, who is only 13 years old, hardly ever displays any emotion and is obsessed with something strange. She is also well known for dressing in bizarre, gothic black and white, which everyone finds odd. Wednesday enters her high school in the opening scene. With a sinister expression on her face, she discovers her brother, Pugsley, chained and holding an apple in his mouth inside her locker. Suddenly, Wednesday has a vision in which she sees who tormented her brother as she pushes him away. We learn that she is not a typical child in this passage. By simply touching someone, Wednesday can see both their past and their future. She enters the swimming room carrying 2 bags filled with piranhas. After learning that the swim team bullies are responsible for this, she then calmly lets the vicious piranhas loose in the pool. Nobody targets her brother but her, Wednesday asserts as the bullies flee for their lives in horror. The parents of Wednesday are introduced in the following scene. As Morticia and Gomez, the two have made the decision to enroll their daughter in the exclusive Nevermore Academy. Since they are tired of their daughter's antics, all of the Academy's students have extraordinary talents, and they are given lessons on how to handle them. The fact that Morticia and Gomez are graduates of the same academy suggests that they, too, possess superpowers. In the meantime, a hiker near the Nevermore Academy sets out on a solitary excursion into the woods. Unfortunately, a mysterious entity attacked him shortly after and killed him. Later, the local sheriff discovers the dismembered body and starts investigating the area. Unexpectedly, we find out that there have been a lot of recent comparable events. This gruesome murder is not the first of its sort. Wednesday then arrives at the academy, where she is greeted by Nevermore's expertly operated principal Larissa Weems. She introduces her to Wednesday's complete opposite in every way. Wednesday's flatmate, a werewolf named Enid. On her side of the room, Enid has brightly colored decor and is a down-to-earth girl, while Wednesday is a fan of all things dark and gothic. Later, Enid gives Wednesday a thorough tour of the academy, while identifying the fangs, furs, stoners, and scale school groupings. Stoners are gorgons with snakes on their heads, fangs are vampires, furs are werewolves, scales are sirens with the power to seduce. Enid also introduces her to Bianca Barkley, the most popular student in the school, and her ex-boyfriend Xavier Thorpe, a self-described death artist, who can make his pictures come to life. Gomez releases Thing, a severed, living hand, as the Addams family drives off in their automobile. Thing is in charge of watching over their daughter. The next day, Wednesday enrolls in a fencing lesson, where she competes against the skillful Bianca. The girls decide to take off their masks and fight till one of them bleeds first. After some back and forth results in an equal number of points for each. Soon enough, a vicious fight breaks out between them as they match strides for strides. But when Bianca makes a tiny gash on Wednesday's face, she ultimately succeeds in her mission. Later, after Wednesday leaves the hospital, after receiving medical attention, she is nearly killed by a falling stone gargoyle. Fortunately, the death artist, Xavier, moves her out of the way. When he comes just in time, Wednesday goes back to her room shortly after, but she feels like someone is keeping an eye on her. As a result, she looks around the room before discovering the hand, or thing. When Wednesday realizes her parents are to blame, she threatens to lock the hand in a drawer, until he stays faithful to her. Thing declares his loyalty while being terrified. She is required to attend treatment because of the piranha joke on Wednesday. In order to get her to her treatment appointment in Jericho, a small town outside of Nevermore, Principal Larissa drives her there. When she meets with her therapist, she remains silent. Wednesday, however, has something else in mind. She excuses herself and leaves through the window. After using the loo, when she exits, she unintentionally bumps into a man. Suddenly, she has a vision in which she sees the man being killed. Wednesday enters a nearby coffee establishment with fear. There, she runs into Tyler, a barista who also happens to be the son of the sheriff. The espresso machine Tyler uses is having some mechanical issues. Thankfully, Wednesday can read Italian. Despite the strange Italian language of the directions, she fixes the device with ease and then requests a ride to the closest bus stop in exchange. Before Tyler can respond, however, 3 bullies in pilgrim costumes barge into the store and startle her. When Wednesday can no longer take it, she fights back and easily knocks them down. Wednesday attempts to ignore them. Principal Larissa and the sheriff eventually make their way to the business, where they witness the carnage. She yells at Wednesday and drives her out of town. After becoming enraged, they pass an awful automobile collision on their way to the academy. The victim is the same man Wednesday had earlier seen in a vision. Later that evening, she performs a melancholy cello melody on the balcony of the dorm. There are several werewolves howling in the distance on a full moon night. Enid, a werewolf herself, announces that she will not be joining them because she is unable to change. Thing stops by Tyler's room in the meantime and requests a call for Wednesday. Despite being afraid, he agrees, and the two begin video chatting. Wednesday says it will be great, and she wants Tyler to meet her at the harvest fair the next day. she really just wants to get out of the academy, though. We witness Larissa keeping a close eye on Wednesday while at the fair. Despite this, the young goth somehow catches up to Tyler. The two are on the verge of leaving, when Wednesday accidentally runs into Rowan, one of her classmates. Since Wednesday touched him, she has a vision in which Rowan has been viciously mauled to death by someone. He flees into the woods right away. She changes her mind and pursues him to break the news. After becoming terrified, Rowan secures her high up on a tree using telekinesis. Before she has a chance to speak, he continues by saying that his mother, a gifted seer, had a vision of Wednesday destroying the Nevermore Academy 25 years prior. Rowan thinks that, in order to prevent anything awful from happening, he must kill her. He then begins telekinetically strangling her, when all of a sudden, a huge monster bursts in, rips Rowan to pieces, and disappears into thin air. Wednesday looks at the drawing of his mother that she allegedly created, while standing over his dismembered remains. The sheriff and other police officers start looking for Rowan's body shortly after, but they are unsuccessful, as anticipated. The sheriff doubts Wednesday's claim that a monster attacked Rowan, and believes it was a Nevermore student instead. When an officer interrupts their talk, we unexpectedly encounter Rowan, who is still very much alive. When Wednesday gets to her room, she observes that Enid is too absorbed in the Po Cup competition, a yearly boat riding contest. She tries to talk to Rowan later, but is told by the principal, Larissa, that he has been expelled for a reason I can't disclose. As a result, Wednesday switches to Plan B and requests that Thing watch over Rowan. The action then shifts to Rowan arriving at the railway station. With Thing hot on his heels, he sneaks into the toilet after taking in his surroundings, and assumes an elderly person's appearance. Sadly, Thing gets distracted and misses this metamorphosis. Later, he takes on the identity of Principal Larissa. She is actually a shapeshifter, and for some reason, she is hiding Rowan's murder, as this information indicates. Without any other choices, Wednesday searches the woods for signs of Rowan's murder. Tyler, who is pursuing his father, is traveling with her. She eventually locates Rowan's glasses, and as she lifts them up, she is struck with a vision. She sees a purple book in the vision, where Rowan acquired the drawing. Without wasting any time, Wednesday asks her teacher about the book, and the latter replies that it belonged to the Nightshades, a former club for students, but the society has long since been abolished. Wednesday sneaks into Rowan's room, after school to look for the book. Under his bed, she discovers a mask, but Xavier shows it there before she can leave. He ends up being Rowan's flatmate. As soon as Bianca arrives to see her ex, Wednesday instantly hides under the bed. She hears them talking, and finds out that Bianca intends to humiliate Enid in the forthcoming boat riding competition. So, as soon as she gets back to her room, Wednesday makes the decision to support Enid by entering the contest so that they can defeat Bianca. Wednesday and Enid prepare for the contest the following day. Since there are no regulations, everything is fair game, and Bianca is taking advantage of this. There are 4 teams, and the object of the game is for them to row a boat to a location and back. The winner is the first person to cross the finish line unharmed, and without passing out in the lake. Bianca makes a clue about one of her buddies, who is prepared to sabotage the other boats. As the competition gets underway, the friend, who later reveals herself to be a mermaid, jumps into the lake and sinks one of the boats, which eliminates the team. Fortunately, Wednesday and Enid are ready, and with their assistance they are able to capture the mermaid. Wednesday, though, sees something else while the competition is going on. This time she encounters a blonde-haired version of herself, who informs her that she holds the key. When Wednesday finally realizes what is going on, she discovers that Bianca's team is in the lead. She and Enid choose to play dirty, because they are unwilling to give up. They finally succeed in winning the contest, by using Bianca's cunning strategies against her. This marks the first time in 40 years that a non-siren team has triumphed in the prestigious competition. Later, Principal Larissa honors the victorious squad, and presents the Poe Cup trophy to Enid. But Wednesday can't handle the attention, so she turns to Edgar Allan Poe, a former pupil of the Nevermore Institution, for comfort. Under the stone book he's clutching, she suddenly notices a symbol. The image Rowan handed her before he was killed was also engraved with the same symbol. Wednesday gets a clue, snapping twice. After quickly solving a series of puzzles engraved into the book, twice snapping her fingers causes a secret passageway to suddenly open, exposing a secret room. There, Wednesday is able to recover Rowan's book that he had torn from the image. She places the book in her backpack, but someone quickly places a black bag over her head. Soon later, when the bag is removed, she discovers that the Nightshades group is made up of Bianca, Xavier and a few other pupils. It turns out that Principal Larissa covertly reactivated the group, after it had previously been disbanded. Wednesday is persuaded to join their gang by Xavier, but she immediately declines and leaves. The annual outreach day, during which the Nevermore pupils will have to interact with normies, by working alongside them at their businesses. As announced by Principal Larissa in the following scenario, Wednesday informs Xavier that his flatmate might have been murdered once they get to town. Due to the fact that Rowan was just ejected, the latter does not believe he is dead. Wednesday still presents him with the drawing, discovers that Joseph Crackstone, the founder of Jericho, is shown in the image. Later, Wednesday makes the decision to work as a volunteer in the Pilgrim World, the location where Jericho's past is preserved. She runs across Eugene, a young boy she had gotten to know through the beekeeping group. The two start conversing and talking in their surroundings right away. The Pilgrim World's carer, Miss Arlene, soon approaches the students. She leads them through the museum and discusses some of Joseph Crackstone's favorite artifacts. When Wednesday inquires further about the antiquities, he discovers that they include the family chamber pot, as well as original farm implements and dinnerware. She would like to work there, but she is unable to due to renovations. Instead, they will all be employed by the Ye Olde Fudgery to serve cakes and fudge to visiting visitors. Later, Wednesday enters the Crackstone family chamber, undetected with Eugene's help. She comes to a painting of the historic meeting place that features the girl from her vision. She soon discovers the book the girl was carrying as well, but Wednesday is suspicious that it's a fake. When she sees that the pages are blank, Arlene, the nanny, shows in at that same moment and catches her. When Wednesday inquires about the original book, Arlene reluctantly confesses that it was stolen a month ago. At the coffee cafe, Tyler and Wednesday meet up again later. Tyler responds to the second person's question regarding Joseph Crackstone by saying that what is left of the old meeting house is hidden away in the woods. Meth heads stay there because it is essentially a ruin and a crash pad. Wednesday and Thing immediately head into the woods in search of Joseph Crackstone's residence. They ultimately locate it, but Thing chokes the homeless guy and scares him away. Wednesday has an unexpected vision. This time she goes back in time 400 years. We recognize the blonde girl she spoke with in the previous vision. The girl is being surrounded by locals, who are calling her the devil's offspring. Joseph Crackstone soon emerges from the throng, and refers to her as Goody Adams. He declares her to be a witch and sentences her to death in a barn full of other alleged witches, including her mother. In response, Goody accuses them of stripping them of their peaceful spirit, seizing their land and killing the defenseless. After giving her a long angry look, Joseph ignites the barn. Goody makes numerous attempts to set her mother free, but in vain. Finally, when there is no other option, she escapes through a trapdoor. Wednesday joins them in the barn as they watch this all go on. Soon after, Goody approaches her and warns her that Joseph won't end his crusade until all of them have been dead. With this realization, Wednesday emerges from her protracted vision and tells Thing everything that has happened. They suddenly realize that the beast that killed Rowan is following them. In the downpour, Wednesday tries to catch up but is unable to. She therefore proceeds to follow the tracks, which mysteriously begin to change into human footprints. This demonstrates that the monster is really a person. She immediately runs into Xavier and informs him of what she observed. The tracks had already been washed away by the rain. When he wants to examine them, everyone gathers once more the next day in the town square to celebrate the inauguration of a new statue honoring Joseph Crackstone. While the mayor and Larissa announce the statue, Wednesday performs an instrumental rendition of Fleetwood Mac's Don't Stop with the Jericho Marching Band. But when Thing ignites the statue with Wednesday's instructions, calamity strikes. Wednesday's eyes glitter with malice as she plays the cello quickly, while others flee in terror. Later, Principal Larissa lashes out at Wednesday, believing she was to blame for the event. The kid, however, denies having taken any action, and instead confronts Larissa for refusing to admit the gruesome racial truths that formed the basis of Jericho. The homeless man from before gets assaulted by the monster that night, and his camera starts recording the event. The homeless man was discovered dead. When the sheriff and his team reach the forest ruin, they find video on his camera that might identify the offender. The sheriff views the killer's face, a creature out of nightmares, after developing the images. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.